أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولو أنهم صبروا حتى تخرج إليهم كان خيرا لهم والله غفور رحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين واعلموا أن فيكم رسول الله لو يطيعكم في كثير من الأمر لعنتم ولكن الله حبب إليكم الإيمان وزينه في قلوبكم وكره إليكم الكفر والفسوق والعصيان أولئك هم الراشدون فضلا من الله ونعمة والله عليم حكيم وإن طائفتان من المؤمنين اقتتلوا فأصلحوا بينهما فإن بغت إحداهما لعلكم ترحمون يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم عسى صلى الله Assalamu alaikum. Today I'll be reciting a hadith from the book Al-Kafi. So recite another salawat, please. Sheikh al-Kulayni reports in his book Al-Kafi through his chain to Jabir al-Jufi from Abi Ja'far, Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, who has said the following: O Jabir, do people think just claiming to be our Shia and saying they love us, Ahlul Bayt, is enough for their salvation? I swear by Allah, of our Shia are only those who are pious before Allah and obey Him. No one, O Jabir, would know them except by their humbleness, submissiveness, trustworthiness, their speaking frequently of Allah, fasting, prayer, virtuous deeds towards parents, good relations with neighbors, the needy, the destitute, the heavily indebted, the orphans, by their truthfulness, recitation of the Holy Quran, and restraining of their tongues except for the good of the people, and their being trusted among the people of their tribe in all things. Jabir then said, O descendant of the Messenger of Allah, today we do not find anyone with such qualities. The Imam said, O Jabir, do not allow false religions to confuse you. One should not think, since he loves Ali alayhi salam and supports him, thereafter he does not have to be active in anything. If one says he loves the Messenger of Allah who is better than Ali alayhi salam, but does not follow his way of life or practice his tradition, his love as such is of no benefit for him. You must be pious before Allah and work to achieve things that exist with Allah. There is no family or relation between one and Allah. The most beloved one to Allah, the most majestic, the most holy, is the most noble before Him, the most pious ones before Him, and the most obedient ones to Him. O Jabir, I swear by Allah, nothing helps one to become nearer to Allah, the most blessed, the most high, except obedience to Him. There is no immunity from hell, and no one possesses any authority over Allah. Only those who obey Allah, they are our supporters. Whoever is disobedient to Allah is our enemy. Our guardianship applies only to those who do good deeds and maintain restraint over their desires for worldly things. Salawat. صلى على محمد وعلى محمد. There's as a second reminder, there's a gents only majlis at the residence of Nadeem Zaidi on Saturday, July 13th at 2:30 p.m. The speech delivered by Sheikh Modarres in English, and so is Marcia by Aida Zafa. Inshallah, please be there on time. Yeah, thank you. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And with that being said, I invite our Sheikh Modarres to the minbar with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And if I can ask the gentleman to please approach the front, especially this side, more towards the front, away from the exit, so people could walk in.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, my apologies for last night and the delay. And alhamdulillah, everything ultimately ended up in khair and good. But please keep us in your du'as, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq of fulfilling our promises and to be, inshallah, as prompt and as, inshallah, honest as we can be to respect other people's time. Especially for you, please keep me in your thoughts with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. For the honor of Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam, his companions and his family, recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين الهداة المهديين سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأرضين. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: وقوله الحق وهو أصدق الصادقين والذين آمنوا واتبعتهم ذريتهم بإيمان ألحقنا بهم ذريتهم وما ألتناهم من عملهم من شيء كل امرئ بما كسب رهين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us His mercy and forgiveness and grant us the tawfiq, the chance and opportunity to strive for the sake of Allah, to put our efforts to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which will be achieved through getting closer to the Prophet and his family. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Among the companions of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam is a man by the name of Yazid. So when we hear the name Yazid, the one that we refer to as the one that we do la'an and we ask Allah to remove His mercy from, is Yazid ibn Muawiyah, Yazid son of Muawiyah. But among the companions of Imam Hussein, there are those that they named was Yazid. It was a common name. And his full name is Yazid ibn Thubayt, which is a man from Basra, from one of the towns and cities, who once Imam alayhi salam sent his invitation to join him, he asked his children. Imam at the time was in Mecca, he already left Medina, he came to Mecca, and then eventually from Mecca he came toward Kufa, that he was stopped in the land of Karbala. But Imam still was in Mecca when he received the call of Imam alayhi salam. So he asked his children, and among his children, 2 of them listened to their father. 2 companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The total becomes 3. Their father and 2 sons, Abdullah and Ubaydullah, were the sons of Yazid ibn Thubayt. So when their dad told them that our Imam is calling upon us, he summoned us. They listened and they joined their father, and all 3, they came to Mecca. And we have that once they arrived, they were looking for Imam, and Yazid ibn Thubayt was told that Imam went to welcome you. He heard the news of you coming, and Imam went to make sure to welcome you. So he went close to the road. And imagine the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, this is the kind of generosity they have. It's so much care and mercy that comes from the Imam, that Imam is coming to you. You take 1 step, Imam will take 10 steps toward you. And he eventually found Imam alayhi salam, and he recited this ayah, that بِفَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَرَحْمَتِهِ فَلْيَفْرَحُوا. The ayah of the Quran says, when you are recipient of Allah's blessings and bounties, then you have to be happy. Then you have to be overjoyed. يَفْرَحُوا. So when we come to the Majalis from Hussein, yes, it is a majlis of azab, it is a moment of grieving and mourning, but we should not forget that there should be a sense of joy, that alhamdulillah I was fortunate enough to be invited. And if I'm here and I'm sitting here, this is blessing from Allah. I could have been like many thousands, millions and billions of people, just go on with my daily life, but I was fortunate enough that I was invited to the majlis to honor Sayyid al-Shuhada Ahmad Hussein. So he recited that ayah, expressing his joy that is a blessing for me. And this is a true follower, and a true Shia of Imam Hussein. This is looking at the Quran. A true followers of Allah understands that when we believe in Allah, we're not doing Allah a favor. When I follow the Prophet, I'm not doing Prophet a favor. When I follow the Imam, I'm not doing Imam the favor. The one who's getting the favor is us. We are the one who's recipient. We are the basically beneficiary of this interaction. Because the hujjah, the proof of Allah is already connected to Allah. He's already the closest of people of his time to Allah. So when he comes to us and we come to us, we are in need of that guidance. For example, when you remember Prophet, I said, look at him. Prophet did not need people to maintain his connection with Allah. He worshipped Allah from the moment we have from his childhood. He never worshipped an idol. Even before the age of prophethood, he became a prophet at the age of 40. 40 years old, it was the moment that Jibreel communicated the revelation with him. But for 40 years, our prophet never worshipped an idol. He was a monotheist from the beginning. So he already had that connection. But people needed something. But Allah said, now you have to go to people. And interestingly, Allah says to Prophet, who should you start with? Your family. وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. If you're going to start your prophethood and your mission, you have to start first with your aqrabin. Ashira is a tribe, it's the family. Aqrabin is those who are closest to you. Start with your family and relatives. And we have that in the first invitation, which is known as Dhul Ashira, the invitation of, we can call it the family invitation. Prophet gathered people, including names like Abu Lahab, his uncles were among those, he was his uncle, who were invited. And we have that Prophet, he had some food prepared and ready. He had a stew. So it was a way to attract people. What should we come for? There's food involved, right? So there's also a tip for us. Yes, there's nothing wrong with having food in the Modarres. So people should come for this speech. Yes, they should, but having something on the side, it always helps. So Prophet had food prepared. They came. After they're having the meal, Prophet stood up and said, you know me. You know that I'm your family. I lived among you. You know that I never lied. He asked them to basically confess that if they trust them or not. And once they agreed and once they confirmed, the Prophet said, now that you know that I'm not a man to lie, you know that I'm not someone who will be dishonest with you, I want to tell you that I am the messenger of Allah and there is no God but Allah. These idols that you worship, these false deities that you worship, are ultimately not going to help you or benefit you. They're not going to save you. So believe in Allah that there is no God but Him and know that I'm the messenger of that God. And then Prophet said, anyone who will believe in me, the first to believe in me will be my successor, will be my wasi, and will be my khalifa. When either Ghadir comes, which we cannot deny, Ghadir happened, and then Karbala is a result when Ghadir was ignored, when Ghadir was pushed aside. Otherwise, Karbala, to calamities that Imam Hussein went through, if that statement, Man kuntu mawla fa'adha aliyun mawla, it would have been something that people would have understood and would have submit to the command of Allah and His Messenger. It would never come to the point that people, they drew their swords against the grandson of the Prophet and the son of Ali ibn Abi Talib, which again is shocking. It is shocking, but it is something that happened. So people said, why the word Mawla, which again, some of our brothers of other school of thought, sisters and brothers of Ahlul Sunnah, they say the word Mawla means friend. We say Mawla means master, it means the one with authority. They said, no, Mawla means friend. Be friend with Allah. And my answer to that is, Prophet used other terms as well. So what word Prophet should have used? Not Mawla is one of those words that has multiple meaning. If you would have used the word Khalifa, it would have been good, which means successor. If you would have used the word Wasi, it means the one who's going to be, again, successor, it would have been better. So yes, so already Prophet used it. And Ashiratika al-Aqrabin, in the first invitation to Islam, Prophet made that invitation toward Islam, and then he said, the first to believe in my message and in Allah will be my Khalifa and my Wasi. He didn't use the word Mawla then, later on used the word Mawla. So all the vocab that you are expecting for Prophet to use, he did use. Ghadir was not the only event that Prophet talked about Imam alayhi salam. It wasn't the only incident that Prophet talked about the successor. When Prophet went for Tabuk, one of the battles, that the Romans were threatening to attack and invade Muslim territories, Prophet, we have that he gathered an army and he left Medina to go to where the borders with Rome. This battle was known as Tabuk, which eventually didn't happen. But Prophet asked Imam alayhi salam to stay behind in the city of Medina, to be in charge in the city of Medina. The city that is filled with hypocrites according to Quran. There are hypocrites waiting for an empty and vacuum of Prophet to basically push for their agenda. And Rasulullah chose Imam alayhi salam to be the one in charge. So it's not just a hadith that Prophet talked about Imam Ali. But unfortunately, hadith was ignored. And in Ashiratik al-Aqrabin, which Prophet was start with his family, he said, the first to believe in me will be my Khalifa, my successor, my wasi. The only one who stood up was Ali ibn Abi Talib. Again, it's important to look at this for multiple reasons. Number one, we're not repeating these historical events just to boast and just to gloat or just to celebrate. These are reminders to affirm why we believe in the path of Ahlul Bayt. Because the moment we start doubting, why am I Shia? Why am I even following this path? You know, other Muslims, they have Quran, they have Prophet. Why this one? We're not a majority either. That is the moment we do not take the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt seriously. And as a result of that, we deprive ourselves of the knowledge and the wisdom of Ahlul Bayt. So these are reminders to make sure why we believe in what we believe. We owe it to ourselves. We're not here to convince other madhahib. Everybody's entitled to their own belief. They can believe in what they want. Ultimately, in the Day of Judgment, everybody has to answer for themselves. We're not responsible to convince anyone. Those who are not Shia, our job is not to make them Shia. Guidance is from Allah. Our job is to know why we are a Shia. I owe it to myself and you owe it to yourself to understand why you believe in what you believe. Otherwise, the moment first person comes and asks you a question and you don't have an answer, that's the moment that you will question your entire belief system. And that is going to cause you to become a skeptic, and from that it becomes that I don't show up, I stop participating, and start, God forbid, quitting on my own faith. So I owe it to myself to learn why I believe in the school of Ahlul Bayt, which again, we are Muslims. I like that people on YouTube comments and social media say, yeah, I'm not a Shia, I'm not a Sunni, I'm a Muslim. It sounds good, it's a good soundbite. But the reality at the end of the day, okay, you're a Muslim. How you pray? How do you pray? At the time of Maghrib, do you wait 20 minutes or you do at the early sunset? I know you're a Muslim. Which one you do? Do you fold your hand or you don't? Right? And every other rules that we have in our deen, at the end of the day, you have to follow one of them. Yes, we are Muslims without a doubt. But these different ways of looking at Islam is part of our belief system. From how to pray, how to fast, how to do Hajj, how to give zakat, it has an impact on each teaching. And that's our fault. So Prophet began with his family. وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. And by the way, the first time Prophet gathered his family, they didn't even let him finish his words. They interrupted him, they had the food and kind of get away. They just had the free food and left. So Prophet had a second invitation. And in the second invitation, Prophet was able to deliver his message. And then that was the only one who stood up was Imam Ali. And Prophet asked him to sit down. Once again, just to make sure everybody understands, to reaffirm, he repeated the same offer. That I am the messenger of Allah, the first to believe in me will be my Khalifa and my successor. Second time, the only one who stood up was Ali ibn Abi Talib, his cousin, and the one that Prophet raised him. Because once Abu Talib, father of Imam Ali, passed away, who's the guardian of Imam Ali? Who's the one who raised him? Prophet and Khadija, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the third time when Prophet asked the same question, again Imam Ali stood for the third time, as we have these three numbers as a way of kind of finalizing as the third strike. Then Prophet said, Ya Ali, anta wasiyyi wa khalifati min ba'di. You are my successor, you are my wasi after me. And that was the beginning of Islam. Why I said this, to go back to our topic from last night, which we said we're going to talk about the importance of family from Imam Hussein's perspective, and how to strive for developing this Husseini family. We need a Husseini family because our family, unfortunately, is under a very, very dangerous threat. Threat of falling apart, threats of distance. Because when we say the falling apart, sometimes it's very obvious that falls apart, which is divorce. Sometimes there is no divorce, but still family fell apart. Meaning that they are living under the same roof, and unfortunately some stories are horror stories too. That people in the live the same house but like strangers. For years, forget about days, forget about weeks, for years. Yeah, we decided to make a sacrifice for the sake of the family or children, we're going to stay together, but ultimately we have nothing to do with each other. We live separate lives. And that is without a doubt, a dangerous future for our families. And when we look at the life of Imam Hussein and his companions, we see families. Yazid ibn Thubayt is an example. He came with his sons, they came to Kufa, they came to Mecca, and eventually from Mecca they went to Karbala, and all three of them were martyred in Deir Ashura, father and two sons. And we have in the Deir Ashura, he said to his children, I want you to go first. And when they asked why, he said, the father doesn't want to see his children, get hurt in front of his eyes. But look at the wisdom of the father. The father said, I want you to go first, because my concern is that if I go and I get killed and I get martyred, you doubt and you walk away from moms, and I don't want it to be your fate. So Father, don't worry, but again, we will listen to you, you are the father. So they went first and then the father went. In the ziyarat of Imam Hussein, which is from the Imam of the time, Imam Mahdi addresses each shaheed by the name. And among them is, Assalamu alayka ala Yazid ibn Subayt wa ibnay. Peace be upon Yazid ibn Subayt and his two sons. Inshallah, once you go to the ziyarat of Imam Hussein, make sure to go to the ziyarat of the ashab, the companions, which without a doubt, they were exemplary and unique in their own time and for the rest of humanity's history. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Do we have the opposite of that family as well? Yes, there are all kinds of family in Karbala. We have good families. We have the best of families, which is Imam Hussein himself, Bani Hashim. You have Hazrat Zainab and her sons, right? These are the best, these are the top ones. So we see the relationship between them. Relationship between Ali al-Akbar and Imam Hussein, between Qasim and his mother Ramla, Qasim ibn al-Hassan, son of Imam al-Hassan and his mother. And then the second level we have ashab, we have companions. Some of them came with their father, some of them came with their mothers, some of them with their spouses. That's why when look at the evening of Ashura, more than 80 people who are now prisoners of war are women and children. They're families of these shuhada. They're families of the martyrs. And the other side, the enemies of Imam Hussein, you have also people who came with their families. One of them is Umar ibn Sa'd. Umar ibn Sa'd was not alone. He had a son with him by the name of Hafs. The son of Umar ibn Sa'd was by his side. And we have in history, at some point, he would encourage his dad to be more ruthless, to even do worse than what he was already doing. The one who was encouraging his father to do more evil was his own son, Hafs. That's why Allah said, Al-mal wal-banun, zinat al-hayat al-dunya. Our wealth, our children, our beauties, adornment of this life. But another ayah, Allah said, Al-mal wal-banun, fitna. Our wealth and our children could be our test. Allah tests us with our wealth. Allah tests us with our children. Yes, we should love our children. It's something that even if we should not, again, it's very obvious, no need to say, but it could be a test that when it comes to the love of their children, are we ready to do something evil because of that love? If my daughter, if my son, my family ask me to do something which is undermining my faith, questioning my humanity, they expect me to do something which is crossing lines because of them. I don't care, Dad, I want this car. Do whatever you want to do. All I want is this house. I don't care how you get there. I want to go on this trip. It doesn't matter to me if you have time to go and do your wajib or your salat or not. I want this. Then that child, that family, that husband or wife become a test. So Husseini family is a reminder that in Karbala, these families, they either led them towards success or failure. A Husseini family is a family that we are part of that ultimately help us to grow together. As a family, we help each other, husband, wife, parents, children, all of them, they try to empower one another. They're uplifting one another. Not just financially, not just in a sense of improvement in their lives, in a sense of materialism, but also spiritually uplift one another as well. That's a good family. That's a Husseini family, which we can call the Husseini family is a Qur'ani family as well. Because Imam al-Hussein is not going to raise a family who's against Qur'an. It's going to be a family that Qur'an is against. Because Qur'an says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, indeed believers are such and such. That's the Qur'an's description. Who is a mu'min? So Qur'an gave us a very, I would say, theoretical description. In theory, a believer, a faithful person has these qualities, right? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. These are the qualities of the believers. But as human beings, we need the real deal. We need the real example. We need to look up to something. And then Allah said, look at the Prophet. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Prophet is the mu'min that you want to look at. And then Prophet said, well, after I'm gone, after I'm not going to be with you anymore, you want to find a mu'min? Look at Ali. Ali yulma al-haq wal-haq ma Ali. Truth is with Ali and is the truth. Imam Ali is leaving, he doesn't abandon us. He said, you want to see who's a mu'min after me? You want a living mu'min to look up to, a perfect person to look up to? Look at Hassan alayhi salam. He's leaving, look at Hussein alayhi salam. And all the way to Muhammad. So we have a real life example of a mu'min. Quran is, as I said, is the description. But the living, the talking, the walking Quran is the Imam. You know what's amazing to me, that even enemies of Imam Ali, you should be blessed that you don't have to listen to so many nonsense out there. But people share these things. Say, okay, I have a question. This person says this about one of the Ahlul Bayt or about the Quran. What's the answer to this? So sometimes I'm exposed to so much nonsense and garbage, really, garbage of thought. Some of these people are atheists. But it's interesting, one clip that somebody sent me was about this person who's proud atheist, not only atheist, again, is someone who always is Islamophobic, speak against Islam. So in this conversation, they were talking about Imam Ali. I said, who is Ali to you? Of course, they're not going to refer to him as Imam Ali. Who is Ali to you? He says, Ali was Arab. I said, more. So Ali was an Arab who never lied in his life. Even his enemies, even an atheist, look at the history, look at everything they find on him, they cannot find a dark spot in the life of Ali. He was brave. He was eloquent. In his time, he was ahead of his time. And that's why the living Quran. So a Qur'ani family and a Husseini family are not two different things. So when we hear an ayah of Quran and we hear the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, they should be a perfect copy, a match. There should not be any extra layover. It should be exactly, completely identical. Otherwise, there will be that contradiction. So last night we talked with them, Surah Al-Rum, 3 qualities for a family, which the Quran says, and we find those qualities in the life of Imam Hussein's family. What were the 3 qualities? Bismillah. Test that. Under 20, Bismillah. Only under 20 have to answer. What were the 3 qualities of a family that Quran talks about? Yes, mashallah, under 20, we take it, alhamdulillah. Yes.
Comfort.
Comfort. Family who has sakina, litaskuna ilayha. Family's main purpose, it should be that once you come to it, it should provide some extent, some degree of comfort, tranquility. It's not all the time because dunya is not perfect, but most of the time it should. That should be the factory setting of the family. Factory setting of the family should be comfort. It should be peace. People, when they come to the house, 7 days of the week, most of the week should be peaceful. Once in a while, we're human, we're tired, we're hungry, there's an issue, there's something in the middle, there's somebody who's selfish, somebody made a mistake. Once in a while, I get it. It's nature of the dunya. We're getting tested. But overall, that's the factory setting. Sukoon. A family should provide tranquility, comfort, and peace. Comfort, I'm not talking about comfortable beds, comfortable appliances. Comfort meaning that once you get to the family, you don't feel that I want to run away from this house. You don't feel that, okay, there's so much tension all the time. It's not a battle that the husband says, I'm in charge, the mom says, I'm in charge, children says, we're in charge. It's not a power struggle. Overall, there's this harmony. That's number 1. Number 2, someone else? Inshallah, under 20, let's see. Mawadda. What's the meaning of mawadda? Yes?
Mercy. Love.
Love, mashallah. So he said the 3rd one, he said mercy, we get to it, but the mawadda is love and compassion. So family means love and compassion. Meaning that the people in a family should care for one another. One thing that I hear a lot from some people is that this family doesn't do anything for me. They don't do anything. What do you mean? I expect them to do this for me, and always there's this sense of entitlement. They are my parents, they brought me to this world. It's their job to love me. It's their job to do everything they do. They cannot tell me they're doing me a favor. They're my parents. And that comes from lack of love. When you love someone, you see the smallest act of kindness. Even if they bring you a cup of water because you love this person, it's a big deal to you. I give an example. People, again, quote unquote, is not really love, but let's call it love for loosely. They love celebrities. They love athletes, famous people. What's something they ask from famous people? Signature. What's the worth of a signature? What's the worth? Autograph, right? Autograph, signature. What's the worth of it? Nothing. It's just a pencil, whatever it is that you move. But because you love that person, at least in your own mind, you care for them, even that small signature is a big deal to you. If you ask Sheikh Modarres for a signature, what's the worth it to you? I don't care. Because it's not the same kind of connection. I feel that this person is my idol. This is my hero. So love makes us see things bigger than what they are. We're grateful even for the smallest act of kindness. If my mom cooked me even a simple, breakfast, because there should be love, there should be that sense of gratitude. But if it's not that love, unfortunately selfishness replaced the love. Oh, why is not enough salt? Why is too cold? Why is too this? Same as with husband and wife, same as with between siblings. Love should be there. And Quran says family, if it doesn't have love, something is going to miss it. It's not just a bond that you have there because you have to. And yes, there are toxic families, there are toxic, unfortunately, parenthood, but in most cases, we like to label it as toxic. That's what real life is. The demand is sometimes too much. expect too much. From our children, even sometimes we demand too much. And the third one was mercy, meaning a family needs forgiveness. There is no perfect family except Khamis Allah wa Panchta, the family of Muhammad. The rest we're dealing with our own flaws and shortcomings. And there should be forgiveness. If you're someone who holds on to things, in the long run, the only one who will get hurt is you. That's it. Imagine if you carry broken glass in your pocket. Sooner or later, that glass is going to cut you. So if I have all these, I've had people, mashallah, married 20 years ago. 20 years ago. They still remember what happened on the night of their wedding. Something didn't go according to plan. They still think about it. Yeah, on the night of the wedding, my sister-in-law did this. What happened? Yeah, the cake that I ordered wasn't this size, it was different. Or when I wanted to take the photo, somebody walked in front of the camera. It should be, this is such a trivial matter, it should not be a big deal, but people hold on to it. And it's their choice. And I'm imagine if, as a sheikh, when I'm invited to their house, they talk about this. For the past 20 years, how many times this came up? So, in a matter of days, they will have, inshallah, grandchildren, still thinking about that. Mercy meaning what Quran says, وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Forgive and let go. Do you want Allah to let go of your mistakes? Or do you think you're perfect? Do you think you don't need God's mercy? So at least take one step if you want Allah to take 100 steps. So the question is, how can we create that love? It's easy to say. These are very obvious, straightforward. Of course, a family should have love. Obviously, we should forgive, but how? That's the million-dollar question, right? How to do it? It's easy to say love one another. It's easy to say that respect one another. It is easy to say to forgive one another, but how to do it? Let's go to Commander of the Faithful, Ali ibn Abi Talib, for the answer. Silence. Imam alayhi salam said, ثَلَاثَةٌ تَجْتَلِبُ بِهِنَّ الْمَحَبَّةِ. Said if you want to experience love, meaning تَجْتَلِبُ الْجَلْبِ means when you attract. When you attain, when you gain mahabba, you gain love. How can you, what's the love? Basically, production, the way to produce that love in the family, that compassion in the family. Thalatha, there are three qualities and merits that brings love to your family. Increases compassion in your family. First one, Imam alayhi salam said, Al-insaf fil-mu'ashara. Fairness in your life and in your interaction with people. Insaf is an Arabic term. In order, do you have the word nisf, which means half? Yes or no? Yes, nisf. Insaf comes from nisf, meaning that usually when we talk about fairness, if there's two people and everything else is equal, it means half-half, 50-50. That's what insaf is. Insaf, fairness meaning to treat others the way you like to be treated. Pretty much. Whatever you want to do, put yourself in the other side's shoes for a moment before you want to do anything. That's insaf. That's it. If you have that, فَالْمُعَاشِرَةِ. Mu'ashirah is in your livelihood and your relationship. This is in general, by the way. This is not just within the family. It could be even with our friends, with our, employees, co-workers, anyone that you want to have this sense. Everybody wants to be loved. Even in your company, you want to be loved. You don't want to be hated. So insaf is what brings the love. Meaning people have that kind of love and compassion for someone who's not selfish. They think, okay, I don't do this to others. Why? Because I don't want someone else to do it to me. Imagine I come to the house. Before I say anything, as a husband, as a father, all I have to do, enable my insaf machine in my mind, my fairness machine. Yes, I like to sit on the couch, put my foot on the other, cross my legs, and ask for some, I don't know, chai, Kashmiri chai, whatever that is. I want this, and I want to watch my TV, and I want my food to be served. And when I come and I see my wife been dealing with children the entire day, and I can see it in her face. And you can see that she's been also working around the house. And you know just put yourself in her shoes. And you come to the house, and all you're demanding is now additional services. If you do it, that person says, you know, this person is selfish. Doesn't matter how much I do. They just want more. They just demand more. So the more this happens, the more it leads to decrease of compassion. Because as a human being, Imam Ali said, we are servants of kindness. Al-insan abidul ihsan. Remember, this is 3 words. Al-insan abidul ihsan. Human being is the servant of kindness. If somebody is kind to you, even if they are atheist, you feel humility toward them. They hold the door for you. You don't care about their faith. Kindness has that kind of nature. In your family, if you see kindness, you feel entitled to return, to reciprocate. Decent people are that way. Of course, we have narcissists, we have selfish people who no matter how much you do for them, they want more. But decent, normal human beings, when they receive kindness, they want to reciprocate. You did me a favor, I will do something. So insaf is a key term. As a wife, your husband comes, he had a tough day. And you can see it in his face, he's been in traffic, he's been stressed about his job. You exactly know as a wife, as a mother, he's been going through. He's been laid off before. There's some issue with his own brother, you know the background, you know that he's probably on the phone about his issue with his family. And now he comes in. And something you could do is just go welcome him at the door. Just say salam. That's it. Just say salam and give him a smile and make his day. That's insaf. Same as children, think of your parents, to what length they're going in order to maintain your families. And you don't have a hard time. Just look at your classmates in your school. How many of them are single parents? How many of them they talk about their dad being, having their own life, they've been on trip with their significant other, I don't want to use the G word, meaning they don't care. And your family are the ones who are sticking with their family, they're loyal, they're committed, they're there every night. So, al-insaf, tajtalibu bihinna al-mahabba. Fairness, Imam Ali said, it brings love. Be fair. Do not demand more. Put yourself in their shoes. Parents, please have insaf with your youth. Remember when you were 15 years old, you were not doing namaz al-sham when you were 15. Please have insaf. Yes, you want them to be perfect, and again, not even 30 minutes of break and video game, nothing. But remember, in your childhood, yes, you didn't have a PlayStation, but you have something called street. You were out there for hours playing this one. Insaf. Yes, you want them to do better than you, but ultimately insaf. Second one, Imam Ali says, وَالْمُوَاسَاةِ فِي الشِّدَّةِ. What brings the compassion, what produces increase of compassion and love, is helping and assisting at the time of difficulty, في الشِّدَّةِ. Muwasat is a religious term, meaning that when somebody is on the ground, you help them to stand. Meaning when somebody has a tough time, they're not the best version of themselves, do not kick them. Do not make them feel even worse about themselves. I've seen it in relationships. What kind of a mother you are? What kind of a father you are? You should be, what kind of a husband you are? This is not, again, let's say right now they're not the best version of themselves. To make them even worse about themselves is not helping anyone. Guilt is usually the last resort that will make any positive change. It will just make it worse. That's why when Hur came to Imam Hussein, Imam didn't make him feel more guilty. He said, is there any still hope for me to be forgiven? And Imam said, no. Imagine we were saved, if a Hur of our time come to us and apologize for an issue, which I've heard this in couples hundreds of times. What's the point of your apology now? What can I do with your apology now? It's too late. You already broke, and then they said, you know, a broken glass doesn't fix it. I said, yes, it does. You can heal if you let it, if you give it a chance. That's why there is recycling. You can recycle stuff and create other stuff with it. And the third and the final one, Imam alayhi salam says, وَالْإِنْقِوَاءُ وَالرَّجُوءُ إِلَىٰ قَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Ultimately, having a heart who is healthy, a sound heart. Meaning that in your heart, you are caring toward others. Qalb as-salim, a sound heart. A healthy heart is a heart that ultimately has that humanity, that pure fitrah. Their heart that is a good heart is the one that will bring love. We had that Prophet was sitting with his companions at the masjid, in the mosque. And Prophet said, just look, the first who walks through this door is one of the people of heaven, one of the inhabitants of heaven. They waited. An average looking guy had walked in, not a famous guy, nobody knew who he is. He came and he does his salat and prayer, just logic, nothing extra, just bare minimum. He walked out. If the Prophet of God, he doesn't see things just out of whim. Eventually they went after him, said, can you wait for a second, we have a question. I said, what is it? He said, tell us what's your secret. So what's it? He said, we heard something about you, which we want to be like you. Tell us, what are you doing that is different? I said, I don't do anything different. I do my wajib. I make sure I do what's my obligation, my responsibility to Allah, to people. I do the bare minimum. But one thing that I have, which again it comes to his mind to say, is that when it comes to other people, anyone around me, family, stranger, friend, anyone, in my heart, only I want and I pray khair for them. That's all I do. I never in my heart have any sense of jealousy toward others. If somebody has money, say, Allah give them more. If they're happy in their marriage, Allah give them more. And that's not pretending, because some people said, yeah, may Allah inshallah give you more, but deep down there's a fire. It's just you burn from within. And why his son is doing fine and my son is not. But deep down, you don't care. You want khair for others. That's the only quality that stands out to me. If that's kind of a heart we have, Imam alayhi salam said, people will love you. You know what the modern, not modern, let's call it today's generation, they call that? Good vibes. This person has good vibes. And usually good vibes come from people who don't have this sense of jealousy, competitiveness. If you say something good about them, say, good for you. They genuinely are good. Jealous people, on the other hand, if you want a sign of jealous people, when you say of some accomplishment, there's that millisecond of pause. And you can see a frown for a second, and then they smile. Yeah, mashallah, good for you. And as long as we don't act on jealousy, there's no sin. But that jealousy is something that from within will burn us, will destroy us. 3 qualities that how to produce, how to increase compassion within the family. Imam Ali alayhi salam, the man of eloquence, shared it with us. 3 words, tomorrow night I will test you again. Insaf, fairness, muwasat, helping, assisting, uplifting. And the third, qalb salim, a good heart. Meaning that if my wife is resting, I'm going to feel good. Somebody sent me, it was before Moharram, a funny video. It was an animation. It shows, this cartoon. A wife is in the hospital. They want to perform a surgery. And as a joke again, the nurses or the doctor tells her, now by the way, I just want to let you know that your husband is sitting down in the house and just enjoying his time. So suddenly she stands, she sits on the bed in the surgical time, in the surgery time. Just calls her, oh, by the way, can you move that table and just that sofa? Meaning if somebody else is enjoying themselves, it bothers them. If the wife having a good time, yeah, now you're happy with your sister. When you're with me and my sister, qalb salim means if they have a good time, let them. It should not bother you. It should be opposite of that. That if there are nothing wrong with them being able to enjoy their time without you. Social media destroyed so many good things. My husband is my best friend. Good for you, but eventually your husband needs some time from you. Your wife needs some time from you. Even the healthiest relationship needs other connections. But this blogger, they are very good. They spend 24/7. Good for them. Again, we have a qalb salim. Good for them. But that's not the norm. The norm is that as a human being, there should be a time that you spend on your own. Alone, just doing nothing. Or being able to spend time with your friends. I finish with the ayah of the Quran. Quran says in Surah Al-Baqarah, what's the relationship between husband and wife? هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُمْ. Your spouses are garments, libas for you. Libas is again, alhamdulillah, Urdu has so many beautiful Arabic words in it. Libas we know, we already use, right? That your spouses are libas for you, and you are a libas for them. What's the job of the libas? Just look at the term that Quran uses, there's so much to think about. What's the function of the libas? Number one, we wear libas to cover our flaws. We don't want to be exposed. So libas covers our, what is private, what is secret, what we don't want it to be seen. That should be the relationship in a family. Your job is not to just blab your mouth everywhere you go, talk about your wife, talk about your husband, talk about your parents. Unless it's your therapist, unless it's something that you try to get help from, it's not something you go expose them. There's a moment that is exception that you need to get help, there's something that you need to speak about, get it. But like every other family, there are issues. Be a libas for your family. Second benefit of libas, we wear libas for what? Beauty. We dress in a certain way to look good. A meaning for your family, you make your family look good. You don't humiliate them, you don't insult them. And there's so many ways to think about what is the meaning of libas. And once we look at that relationship between the family, parents, children, next time as a father, as a mother, you don't insult your children in front of others. You don't humiliate them in front of others. Yes, you're the parents, you want khair for them, but you should understand the meaning of being libas. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all the tawfiq of raising a family to be part of the family who ultimately lead us towards salvation, towards the success of dunya and akhirah. And Ya Allah, help us to do our job. يَوْمِ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ, Quran says, Day of Judgment is a day that people, family members run away from one another. Because everybody asks, okay, you owe me this, give me this. And we have nothing to give, we have no currency to pay with. Ya Allah, help us to fulfill our responsibilities, our duties as fathers, as mothers, as husbands, as wives, as children, as sons and daughters, that ultimately face your judgment with your mercy and with tranquility, inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. MashaAllah, you're a very good audience to the point that I again lost the track of time. Jazakallah khair for the amount of attentiveness that I heard and I saw and I noticed. But we dedicate tonight's majlis to one family. Because as I said, we spend all these nights in the honor of Moharram and Karbala, and we cannot talk about every single shaheed and every single personality of Karbala. So tonight we dedicate it to Hazrat Zainab and the children of Hazrat Zainab, this mother and sons. Abdullah ibn Ja'far is the husband of Hazrat Zainab. He was not in Karbala. For some reason he stayed in Medina, but he sent his sons to accompany Zainab and to accompany their uncle Imam Hussein. It's been mentioned in some sources that Hazrat Zainab at the time of marriage, at the time of their basically nikah, she asked for one demand from her husband, one request. It wasn't some expensive dowry or mahar. It wasn't any of the modern conditions that we see. The condition was that wherever my brother Hussein will go, he will be not only my brother, but he is my imam as well. I have to be with him. So I want to let you know ahead of time. I will be with Hussein. If you agree, then we get married. That's very important. In marriage, please be straightforward ahead of time. Do not put aside wishful thinking. Things get better. No, first day is better to say it the way it is. And he agreed. And may Allah bless his soul that he stood by his promise that when Zainab Salamullah wanted to join Imam Hussein, he did not oppose. On the top of that, he sent his sons also to join. It came all the way to the day of Ashura. First ashab of Imam Hussein went, companions went. Because they said, until we're alive, no one from the family of the Prophet will go. This is our decision. How can we be alive and breathe when the children of the Prophet are going to be slaughtered? So all of them, one by one, went to the battle. Until it was the turn to Bani Hashim, the children of the Prophet and the family of the Prophet, the Hashemites. And among the first to go was Ali al-Akbar, the son of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the senior son. When he asked for permission, Imam Hussein did not hesitate. He said, can I go to the battle with my father? They would ask for permission. That was a tradition of the time. And then Imam will let them. Ali al-Akbar, Imam did not hesitate. He said, go my son. Just before going, walk in front of me. I want to look at you one more time. But when the children of Hazrat Zainab got prepared, that was after Ali al-Akbar. Their mother Zainab said, my sons, today is the day to show that you are the children of Zainab. I raised you with the love of Hussein. I raised you with the love of your Imam. Do not disappoint me, my son. So they came to their uncle. Said, can we go to the battle and defend from the sanctity of Prophet's family? And Imam looked at these young men and said, my dear nephews, go back to your mom. It's too early for you. They insisted. They begged. But Imam didn't let them. They came back to their mother and said, oh mother, we tried, but our uncle doesn't let us. And this time, she held their hand and she came with them. Ya Zainab al-Kubra. There's a poetry said, Karbala, Karbala Mimam Agar Zainab Nabu. Karbala would have stayed in Karbala, would not be transported. if it wasn't because of Zainab. She held their hands and came and stood before her brother and said, my dear brother Hussein, you know me that I never ask anything for anything. You are my imam. You are the one in charge. But I have one request. Please do not refuse the request of a mother, of a sister. Let my children go to the battle. And we have that Imam Hussein embraced them, hugged them, said, go get ready for the battle. They wore their armors, they got their swords, they mounted the horse, they went to the battle. Until the call came from the battlefield, Alayka minna salam, ya Aba Abdullah. Peace be upon you, O Uncle, Ya Hussein. This is the final salam and final farewell of the children of Zainab. Abu Abdullah rushed toward the battle, get to the bodies of these beloved children of Zainab. What was left of the body? This is the cruelty of the enemy of Abu Abdullah. That it wasn't just to let them die peacefully. Even after they fell on the ground, those who had swords will strike them with swords. Those who had the spears will strike them with spears. And we have that Abu Abdullah get to the bodies of these children. And the children of Abu Abdullah and Hussein alayhi salam, just a few hours, maybe less than an hour ago, Abu Abdullah brought body of Ali al-Akbar back to the tent. But at that moment, Zainab was by the side of Hussein. But this time when the children of Zainab are bringing back to the camp of Hussein, Zainab did not came from the tent. Why Zainab didn't come? Maybe that she didn't want the Hussein alayhi salam look at the face of Zainab. That Zainab salamullah alayha doesn't want her brother to feel any sense that the sons of Zainab sacrificed their life for the sake of Abu Abdullah. Zainab didn't come out of the tent. But we have the final word of Zainab that my son, that you are worthy of the way that I raised you. You fulfilled the promise of Allah and the promise of your grandfather Rasulullah. We have that Zainab didn't come out of the tent, but one time Zainab not only came out of the tent, but she rushed toward the battlefield. And that was when Zuljanah came without the rider. We have that Zuljanah came bloody back. We have that the children of Abu Abdullah and Zainab came to Zuljanah, the horse of Imam al-Hussein. And they asked Zuljanah, tell us what happened to the one who rode you. What happened to our brother Hussein? What happened to our father Abu Abdullah? When they saw the blood on the mount of Abu Abdullah's horse, the message was received that do not wait for Hussein to come back. وَلَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنقَلَبٍ يَنقَلِبُونَ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Ya Allah, by the honor of Zainab al-Kubra, by the honor of the Shuhada Karbala, the children of Zainab salamullah alayha, grant all of us to raise a family, to live a life whose ultimate goal and ultimate purpose is to serve you, to get closer to you, and ultimately to live a life of khair, in the life of afiyah and well-being in dunya and akhirah. Ya Allah, we ask you for the honor of Zainab salamullah alayha, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. Help us to be the true awaiter for the Imam of our time and the true Shia and the follower of the Imam of our time. And Ya Allah, we pray for all the Mahumeen, also for the sponsors of these majalis, and anyone who attends these majalis. May Allah bless the soul of them and their Mahumeen, especially Mahuma Sayyida Muhsina Khatun bint Sayyid Zaid Hussein Rizvi, Sayyida Nasira Khatun bint Sayyid Zaid Hussein Rizvi, and Sayyida Dildar Fatima bint Sayyid Zaid Hussein Rizvi. May Allah bless their soul and grant them maghfirah and forgiveness. We do not forget anyone who's in need of dua. Ya Allah, if even we don't mention their names, you know anyone who is muftar, anyone who is in urgent need of our du'as. Ya Allah, grant them relief, grant them immediate support and help, especially for the people of Palestine and Gaza. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring an end to the suffering of the people of Palestine with their freedom and with their immediate liberation very soon, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punish the zalimeen and oppressed in this lifetime and when we're still alive, and may Allah punish them in the akhirah for the atrocities and for the crimes committed. Let's remember all the marhumin with Surah Al-Fatiha with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Saying